People use the brain not being fully developed until 25 as a scapegoat for too many things. Noticed how so many victims will use this excuse when they are 24. Doesn't mean younger people are exempt either. But you know what's right or wrong. There is a gut feeling you get when something is not right. You just chose to be dumb and can't admit you are the problem. By this logic, I got 25 years to get away with murder before I should be accountable for it. Your brain isn't fully developed until 25, then it starts diminishing slowly afterwards. Only 25-year-olds should be allowed to do anything ever. Yeah, people treat that thing as an all-or-nothing type of thing. Like, sure, a 16-year-old is definitely not as mature as a 26-year-old. But their brain certainly has matured enough to know right from wrong. And to have some inkling of common sense. Anyone over 18 who commits murder is charged as an adult. Lol. Noticed how so many victims will use this excuse when they are 24. What particular situations are you making this opinion about? What really annoys me is that it varies entirely on what age the brain is fully developed. And many disorders will actually prevent the brain from ever fully maturing like it's supposed to. Does that mean everyone with a mental disorder that impacts brain maturity can't make any decisions for their self? We going to scan every person alive to see if their brain is fully developed or not in order for them to make any decisions? I'm not convinced 25 is a qualifying age of a fully developed brain for most people. Weirdest thing I read on Reddit on this topic was legal age for consent should be 25 cause your brain is not fully developed and people take advantage of that to groom you. The not fully developed until 25 is largely a misnomer. And from what I understand, it's largely based on a study where the max age of participants was 25. More studying needs to be done. Period. And the fact of the matter is that just because something isn't fully developed doesn't mean it hasn't developed enough to be considered mature, adult, etc. Morality and brain not being fully developed until aren't mutually exclusive. You still understand right from wrong, and if you still do it, you are selfish on some level and perhaps malicious on another, depending on what was done. Mine never developed. I'll let you in on a secret. The brain isn't stopped developing until death. There's neuroplasticity throughout. It's actually been debunked. It's people running from accountability. In one way, people call it mistakes of the past. In the other, people are not actively trying to prevent it from happening. It is way more likely for people under 18 to be charged as adults than it is for a 24-year-old to get leniency for a major crime due to age. Me turning 26, my mom actually, with your undiagnosed ad, I decided you're more like 20. I agree with you. Even 7-year-old kids know the difference between right and wrong, and I've seen people on internet that are like 15 years old trying to get away with crimes. Yup. People I know use it as an excuse to restrict trans people's rights, but would throw a shit fit if the military didn't have its young cannon fodder. Bro, I only ever saw this stupid nonsense on Twitter, and it's officially made its way to other apps. Leave this dumb shit over there. You only ever see this nonsense when people are talking about older men dating women who are in their early 20s too. Y'all can drive cars, rent an apartment, file taxes, get married, join the goddamn army. So, why do I feel like I have dementia in my 30s? Pretty smooth transition in a very short fucking time. I don't think it should be a mitigating factor in any violent crime. There needs to be a standard of age where you are considered an adult. At 18, you can vote, go to war, make all of your own financial and relationship decisions. That's the age. If you commit a violent crime over that age, I don't think age should be a mitigating factor. You're old enough to know better. Now, perhaps victimless crimes like DUI age could be considered. Things like this you get away with dozens or hundreds of times before someone gets killed. Maybe age is an appropriate mitigating factor there. You're doing some Olympic leaps in logic here, sir. I think when people say this they mean that a 25-year-old's brain is a level 10. But a teenager young adult brain is a level 7 or 8. 7 or 8 is still very functioning. Even if it isn't the absolute best it will be. Why some people think that because I am at a 7 or 8 I am 17 years old means I should be allowed to work without intense regulation. Can't get a tattoo. Can't get pierced. Should be allowed to drive. Etc. I am still a functioning person even though I am not a level 10 yet. Gut feeling? I'd like to know more about this concept. Feels like an odd assumption. Or voting, drinking, driving, having firearms, getting married, etc. If children can't do it because they are immature and not fully developed, people under 25 shouldn't be allowed either. Agreed especially as it's a myth anyway. It's not a scapegoat, but it's certainly the reason why people under 25 behave the ways they do. The younger the person, the more psycho-sociopathic they are by definition. Your brains aren't fully developed because you lack the experience of an adult. 20-year-olds will continue to act like teens till they settle down. Get a house, get a family, and a stable job. Sadly, that's not really possible anymore, but oh well. I was absolutely stupid before 25, and the time between 18 and 25 were hard life lessons. All subsequent decisions have been overall smarter too. It means your frontal cortex is not fully formed, so you operate more in your reptilian brain and are more impulsive and unable to consider long-term consequences to actions. It's why many of us can look back to our past and say we did some dumb shit without thinking of the consequences. There is a gut feeling you get when something is not right. Not if your frontal lobe isn't developed fully. That's kind of the whole point. Well, it's a good thing the criminal justice system doesn't actually work according to that logic. Then Not sure mine was anywhere near developed until 30. Okay, but who justifies murder? I see people using both ends. They either have no empathy or too much moderation people. That isn't what scapegoat means. I'm 43, and still consider myself as dumb as a child. Going to need more of context here. If we are talking murder, there have been trials where they had kids tried as an adult. There are subjects that are too complex for a child's mind to process as an adult that has been living in the real world with some experience. Hence child-appropriate material. But now we are getting into some things, and that's a whole other conversation. That escalated quickly. As someone who's 27, that excuse flies out the window. LMAO, haven't heard it since. That reminds me of that time when my ex-friend used to always say, "Yeah, I'm 20, just a child," as an excuse to not look for a job. I hate it when people say this. I thought it was 27. No, you shouldn't be punished as hard for things as you are younger. Notice how so many victims. Are you implying the victims in these situations are the perpetrators that should be locked up, or the people that use this excuse probably wouldn't like being told that they shouldn't vote or have any autonomy over their bodies until age 25? Kid named drugs. I agree, I see this a lot with TikTok and dating. I already knew at 18 when the guys I was entertaining were never going to marry me or anything serious.